Can we rob an entire ticketed train with only one secure guard carriage without being reported or alerting the law? Let's find out.
Our next train's coming right up. Check your bags and under your seats.
Welcome, welcome. Good morning to you, sir.
Enjoy your trip.
There we go. You okay, boy? Here you are, boy. Easy, boy. Yep.
Oh, this is... Oh! Too damn close.
Whoa, now. Yeah. of a bitch!
Close in.
You're gonna die here! Ah! You're as good as dead! It's over for you! You're gonna die this instant! Ah!
Cocksucker.
What are you doing? Untie me, you bastard! You'll be sorry!
Kiss my ass.
I'm gonna leave you cold!
You were one dead hombre. Holy Jesus.
Put a bullet in that bastard! You're in trouble now! Cut me free, goddammit! Put a bullet in that bastard! What the hell? Go to hell! It's over for you! Put a bullet in that bastard! Put a bullet in that bastard!
God damn.
Put a bullet in that bastard!
What in the name of Christ?
You won't make it out alive! You're gonna die here! I'm gonna watch you rot! Put a bullet in that bastard! You're gonna burn! You'll be sorry! Shoot him! You're in trouble now! You're as good as dead! I'm gonna leave you cold! You won't make it out alive!
Just isn't your day, is it?
Put a bullet in that bastard!
Whoa. What's this?
Sure, sure. I don't want any trouble, okay?
You're as good as dead!
Here, take it!
Oh, Oh, jeez. Can't something go right today?
Now,
Okay,
You're ready to
take
die.
Lord help me. Fine. Just take it.
Son of a bitch!
No.
All right, all right. This is all I've got.
Good gracious.
Put a bullet in that bastard!
Okay, take it.
What's happened here?
I'm gonna watch you rot!
Okay, here. Damn it.
You're gonna die here!
Okay, this is all I have. Darn it. I have this. Just take it.
Here it is. Here it is. It's all here.
Put a bullet in that bastard!
Oh, gosh. All right, it's
I'm gonna
yours.
watch you rot!
What's all this?
Yeah, just take it! You'll be sorry!
Give me strength. Here, take this. And just please don't hurt me.
I'm gonna watch you rot!
For the love of God!
Here, this is all I'm allowed to carry.
You'll be sorry!
Give me courage.
leave you cold.
Easy, whoa. Get up.
I hope you're ready to die. You're gonna burn. I'm gonna watch you rot. You are one dead hombre. I hope you're ready to die.
What the heck's been going on here?
You'll be
Here,
sorry.
here, just take it.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You're gonna burn.
This is all I can give you.
Shit.
You are one dead hombre.
Okay, take it. Damn it.
I'm gonna watch you rot.
Please, just take it and leave.
Darn it.
I hope you're ready to die.
Fine, fine. Here it is. Oh, for heaven's sake.
You'll be sorry.
Damn it.
You're gonna burn.
Boy.
I'm gonna watch you rot. You'll be sorry.
Stroke of fortune. Next to mine. New regions to explore. So I took up my position by the keyhole in the door. The keyhole in the door. The keyhole in the door. Amber Pot. She sat with graceful ease. She dropped her spotless linen, her snow-white knees, and tiny sky blue garters. Upon her legs she wore